Hey guys, welcome to the Max Invest YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to be doing a beginner's guide to what Arbitrum actually is. Arbitrum is definitely one of the most exciting things for Ethereum that is happening this month, and in today's video, we're going to explore exactly what it is and what you can do on Arbitrum. Of course, if you enjoy the video, remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and remember, nothing in this video is financial advice, and you should always do your own research. Also, as a quick side note, Arbitrum will be coming out sometime August. We don't know yet when Arbitrum will be coming out in August, however we do know it'll be coming out sometime this month, so we'll just have to wait and see. Arbitrum is an Ethereum Layer 2 scaling solution. Now, as many of you may already know, Ethereum has very high gas fees. This means whenever users want to interact with a smart contract on the Ethereum network, they do need to pay quite high fees. Fees can be up to $20 just for one transaction. However, Arbitrum is coming out this month, and when users use Arbitrum on the Ethereum network, the gas fees will be next to zero. So when individuals want to interact with smart contracts on the Ethereum network through Arbitrum, they will need to pay very, very low gas fees. This is made possible because Arbitrum is able to handle a considerably amount larger transactions per second. Arbitrum will be able to do roughly 1,000 to 4,000 transactions per second now, and in a year's time when Ethereum 2.0 comes out, Arbitrum will be able to do roughly 100,000 transactions per second. This is better than Ethereum's current 15 to 30 transactions per second, and as you can see, this is scaling up Ethereum massively. The way Arbitrum works is when Arbitrum comes out, which will be sometime this month, individuals will be able to bridge their assets from Ethereum Layer 1 onto Arbitrum. So, the way that works is in your MetaMask wallet, you'll have a whole bunch of assets like Ether, Chainlink, and whatever tokens you've chosen to buy. Now, once Arbitrum comes out, you'll be able to look up Ethereum Arbitrum Bridge on the internet, and then once you click on the Ethereum Arbitrum Bridge, you'll be able to transfer these assets from the Ethereum network onto the Arbitrum network. Now, these tokens will then live in a bridge contract, and the bridge contract will send a message to the layer 2, which is Arbitrum, and Arbitrum will credit the user with a certain amount of tokens. As a direct result, on the Arbitrum network, users will be able to use these tokens, yield farm, and use a whole bunch of DeFi applications, and they'll be able to do this very quickly, very seamlessly, and with essentially no gas fees, which is great. Also, a lot of people have been wondering if there's going to be a token for Arbitrum. There actually won't be a token for the Arbitrum network. Ethereum is used to pay for gas fees on the Arbitrum network, and there is no token right now. Of course, Arbitrum could make a token in the future that is used for governance, however there are currently no plans for an Arbitrum token. The only need for Arbitrum is essentially to use the Ethereum network with very low transaction fees. Let's take a look at the technology that helps Arbitrum achieve very low gas fees and very high transactions per second. Now, what Arbitrum is going to do is Arbitrum will compress a bunch of transactions into a single proof. For example, Arbitrum could compress 10,000 Ethereum transactions into a single proof. This one proof is then put on layer 1 and it's counted as just one transaction. Essentially, only the information that is needed is posted to layer 1 to verify the transaction. This is called a rollup, where the computation is taken off-chain and done on the Arbitrum network and then finalized on the main chain. So, if you saw my Ethereum 2.0 video, you'll know what rollups are, and Arbitrum is a rollup. Essentially, they just take some of the computation off-chain and finalize it on the main chain. In my example, they'd take 10,000 transactions off-chain, compute all of those computations off-chain, prove that this has happened, and then finalize it on the main chain in just one transaction. As a direct result, this means there's significantly less transactions on Ethereum Layer 1, and this will scale up Ethereum a lot more, allow Arbitrum to do 4,000 transactions per second, and have next to nothing gas fees. However, there are a few problems with Arbitrum that will happen out the gate. Now, Arbitrum is going to be using optimistic rollups, so this is where it gets a little bit confusing. Arbitrum uses optimistic rollups. Optimistic rollups are essentially optimistic that the transaction occurred off-chain. They trust the transactions were completed, and if this is the case, no action is needed. However, of course, you can't have users submitting fraudulent transactions to the blockchain and submitting fraudulent proofs. So the way optimistic rollups will combat this is they will essentially incentivize individuals from all around the world to check if there are fraudulent transactions. If individuals find that there are fraudulent transactions on the network, then these will not be included in blocks and they will not work. So, essentially, optimistic rollups do take a little bit longer as they have people checking for fraud proofs. Because of this, Arbitrum will take longer to use. This means it will take roughly a week for users to take their funds on and off Arbitrum. So, because Arbitrum uses optimistic rollups right now, it's going to take a while for users to pull their funds back off the Arbitrum network. This is the only side effect of using optimistic rollups. Now, Arbitrum could have used ZK rollups that do not suffer this problem. This is because the full proof of each transaction is instantly checked and verified by the blockchain. However, this is actually a lot more difficult to implement, and as a result, Arbitrum haven't implemented ZK rollups right now. However, in the future, it is highly likely that Arbitrum will start using ZK rollups, and when Arbitrum start using ZK rollups, this will mean it'll take a couple of minutes to pull your funds off the Arbitrum network back onto the layer 1. So right now, optimistic rollups are a bit more inefficient as there's a whole bunch of people checking for frauds on the network, and this just takes a little bit longer to iron out frauds, which will mean it will take longer to deposit your funds off the Arbitrum network. So, essentially, that's about the end of the discussion of Arbitrum specifically. Arbitrum is just going to be an Ethereum layer 2 solution. Users will be able to put their funds on Arbitrum, and this will result in really high transactions per second and really low gas fees, which will make it a lot easier to interact with DeFi applications. However, a lot of you might be wondering, what's the difference between Arbitrum and Matic? Matic sounds like it's very similar to Arbitrum. Matic is used to scale up Ethereum. However, Matic is a sidechain while Arbitrum is a rollup, and I'll quickly go through some of the differences between sidechains and rollups. Rollups like Arbitrum are connected to Ethereum substantially more than sidechains. This is as rollups like Arbitrum are heavily reliant on the main chain for transaction finality, and they don't run alongside it like sidechains do. Sidechain examples are stuff like Polygon, while rollups include Arbitrum and Optimism. Of course, sidechains are already out and happening. Polygon is already out, however, rollups are taking a little bit more time and they're just on the verge of coming out, and Arbitrum is ready to come out sometime this month, so rollups are just coming out. Essentially, if one puts their assets on a sidechain and the sidechain goes offline, they lose their assets forever. So if you put your assets on the Polygon network and the Polygon network has a major security breach and fails, you will lose your assets. It doesn't matter how secure Ethereum is. However, if you're using a rollup and Arbitrum suddenly stops working, you will be able to get your funds back off Arbitrum because they are kind of always existing on the Ethereum network. Your funds are always in that bridge contract which is on the Ethereum network, so this is a benefit of rollups. The next thing is sidechains have their own consensus mechanisms and their own security guarantees. On the contrary, a rollup is fully secured by the Ethereum main chain and will work with Ethereum's current consensus mechanism. As a result, this means chains like Polygon are a lot less secure and a lot less decentralized than rollups will be. This is because Ethereum is obviously the most secure and the most decentralized chain that exists, and all of the side chains are less secure and less decentralized. On the contrary, rollups will actually inherit all of Ethereum's security guarantees and decentralization guarantees, which makes them way better than sidechains. Also, sidechains will have their own token to pay for gas fees. For example, Polygon has the Matic token to pay for gas fees, however Rollups will not do this. Rollups will just use Ether to pay for gas fees and they won't need another token. As a result, Rollups are a lot more connected to the Ethereum ecosystem and they are a lot better. So overall, when Arbitrum actually comes out, I'm probably going to take all of my assets off Polygon and put them all onto Arbitrum, as Arbitrum is a huge upgrade for the Ethereum network, and in my opinion, it's way better than Sidechains are right now. So, how is Arbitrum going to work? Well, individuals will be able to use Arbitrum the second it releases this month. So whenever it releases, you'll already instantly be able to bridge your assets over and start using it. They will be able to use Arbitrum on numerous protocols immediately. This includes your big stuff like Curve, Aave, and Uniswap. If you're newer to DeFi, I'd recommend you just stick with all of the big blue chip protocols. This is what I do myself, and it's a lot easier to trust these protocols. So if you want to yield farm on Curve, you'll need to pay very, very low gas fees, and there'll be a lot of transactions. If you want to borrow or lend on Aave, well, you'll also need to pay very low gas fees on the Arbitrum network, and Uniswap is a decentralized exchange for trading, so if you want to trade cryptocurrencies, you'll also need to pay very low transaction fees, which is great. As such, there will be lower fees and higher transaction speeds when using all of these protocols, but the only downside is when you want to remove your assets from Arbitrum, you'll just need to wait 1 week, which isn't that bad unless you want to immediately sell your Ethereum. However, you could even just change it into USDC on the Arbitrum network anyway. Essentially, roll-up technology means Arbitrum maintains its decentralization, and this is a huge improvement to the Ethereum network, and I definitely am very positive about Ethereum because of this huge upgrade. Overall, that brings us to the end of the video. I know it may have been a little bit of a confusing video, as Arbitrum can be a bit difficult to understand. However, this is a huge stage in Ethereum's development where it is going to be getting rollups, and I am very, very excited, as essentially this is going to make Ethereum unbelievably competitive with all of the other centralized chains. Chains like the Binance Smart Chain are completely centralized and they achieve about 3,000 transactions per second. Ethereum is about to be completely decentralized and achieve the same amount of transactions per second as Binance, which in my opinion will mean chains like Binance will be rendered obsolete, as people will want to use Ethereum as it's decentralized and it can achieve the same amount of transactions. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching the video.